Zeus had won everything. The Titans were chained, the throne was his, and Olympus was full of his children. It should have been over, but there was one flaw. The youngest god carried mortal blood, a crack in the wall between heaven and men. That was a wound for another day, because the gods had forgotten someone, the oldest power there was, and the one they'd all wronged. Gaia, the earth herself, the first mother. 3 times she had watched a king bury her children in the dark. Uranos, then Kronos, and now Zeus, the grandson she'd helped crown, who'd chained the beaten Titans in the pit exactly like the kings before him. 3 kings, 1 crime, and Gaia was done helping them. So she went down into Tartarus, and out of the earth and the abyss she made one last child. Not a god, a weapon, built for one purpose, to drag Zeus off his throne and end the gods for good. What rose up was the largest living thing the world had ever held. It stood so tall its head scraped the stars, and its arms reached from the far east to the far west. From the waist up, he looked almost like a man. Below that, he was all snakes, great coiling serpents, thick as rivers. And in place of a head, it had 100. Dragon heads and serpent heads on necks of writhing muscle, fire spilling from every eye. When its mouths opened, it didn't roar. It made every sound at once. Bulls, lions, packs of dogs, the hiss of 1,000 snakes, 100 voices, and not one of them a word. This was Typhon, the last child of the earth, made to unmake the king of heaven. He began to climb. He came up toward Olympus, tearing mountains out of the ground and hurling them ahead of him, fire pouring from 100 mouths. And the gods took one look and ran. The same gods who'd just won a 10-year war against the Titans. They didn't just fall back. They abandoned Olympus completely. They ran all the way to Egypt, and when the monster kept coming, they hid, each one taking the shape of an animal. One became a hawk, one a cat, one a long-beaked ibis, frozen among the reeds. The rulers of the world crouched in the mud of a foreign land as birds and beasts, hoping not to be found. The Greeks had a flat, straight-faced answer for why the gods of Egypt had the heads of animals. This was it. This was the day heaven ran. But one god didn't run, Zeus. At first, it went the way you'd expect. He met Typhon with the thunderbolt, the weapon that had ended the Titans, and threw it without pause. Bolt after bolt tore into the 100 heads until they were crowned in fire and the sky itself seemed to burn. Then he closed in with a blade, a sickle of adamant, and went to work. He hacked through the coils as they struck at him, sheared heads from their necks, pushed straight into the fire pouring off the thing, and never slowed. He forced Typhon back, mile after mile, and pinned him against a mountain in the east. For a moment, it looked like Zeus would win. That was the moment it turned. Typhon was wounded, but not beaten. And now they were close. Too close for thunderbolts, where the monster was still every bit as strong. He threw his coils around Zeus. They wound around the king and drew tight, pinning his arms to his sides, and he couldn't break free. Then Typhon worked the adamant blade out of Zeus's grip, the king's own weapon, and turned it on him. He cut the tendons out of Zeus's hands and feet, the cords that let a body move at all, and sliced them clean away. The king couldn't stand, couldn't grip, couldn't lift so much as an arm. Typhon carried him across the sea to a cave in the mountains, the Curiousian cave, and left him in the dark. The tendons he hid separately, rolled in a bearskin, and set a guard over them. A creature named Delphine, half woman, half serpent, coiled around the bundle so nothing could reach it. And that was where things stood. The Titans chained in the pit, the other gods hiding in Egypt as animals. The king of heaven dismembered in a cave, guarded by a dragon, the pieces of himself he needed a few feet out of reach. No one was coming. For the first time since the world began, the monster had won, and the sky had no one left to hold it up. Except the war had overlooked somebody. Not a warrior, a thief. Hermes, the quick one, the god who, on his very first day alive, stole 50 cattle from Apollo and hid the tracks so well no one could follow. Locks didn't stop him. Guards didn't see him. Getting between a person and the thing they guarded was the one thing he did better than anyone. He slipped into the cave, past Delphine, past the dark, to the bearskin bundle, and took it without a sound, the way he'd taken everything else. He found Zeus, fitted the tendons back into his ruined hands and feet, and was gone before anyone knew the bundle had moved. And Zeus stood up. What came next wasn't a duel. This time he never let the monster close. He came down out of the sky and didn't stop, bolt after bolt hammering Typhon backward across the whole world, the land catching fire behind them, the sea boiling where the lightning struck. He gave the monster no ground to turn and fight, and drove him all the way to the coast of Sicily. And there, with Typhon staggering, Zeus tore a whole mountain up out of the earth, lifted it over the thing, and brought it down. Not to kill him. You can't kill a thing the earth herself made, but you can bury it. The mountain was Etna, and Typhon is still under it, right now, straining against the whole weight of it, buried but not gone. When the ground in Sicily shakes, that's him. When Etna cracks open and throws fire at the sky, that's the last child of the earth, still trying to get out. That was the last war for the throne. Not the family war. That one ended quietly, the day Athena chose to guard her father instead of take his place. This was the other kind. The last thing the world itself ever built to bring the king down. Zeus had lost it. He'd been taken apart, left for gone, and he came back and won anyway. He had lost everything, and the throne still stood. After that, no one ever came for it again. The reign of Zeus was absolute, unshakable, his for the whole age to come. The world above was settled. Every throne, the sky, the sea, the storm, finally had its god. But one part of it they'd barely touched. Below the fields, below the pit where the titans and the monsters strained in the dark, deeper than all of it, lay a kingdom the living never saw, with a king of its own, and laws older than Olympus. The gods had spent 3 generations deciding who ruled the world above. No one had yet told the story of the world below.